Do you know how much precious metal is in your stack right now? And do you know how much it's worth? In this video, I'm sharing a free tool with you to track your stack and or collection and know to the penny how much it's worth at any time. The tool will also allow you to know if you are profitable at this very moment. If this sounds like something that would be useful to you, take a seat and let's have a look together. Welcome to the show. You will be able to find a link to download the spreadsheet in the box below. The spreadsheet was made using Microsoft Excel. If you do not have Microsoft Excel installed on your computer, you have two options that I will be showing you at the end of the video. If you do have any version of Microsoft Excel, you are ready to go. Before I get started, I want to remind you that once we break the 1,000 subscribers on the channel, every comment on any of the videos will be an entry for the monthly giveaways. So if you're not subscribed yet, I invite you to do so now and make sure that you leave a comment and a like on the video for your entry into future giveaways. Talking of giveaways, Cash and Coins is currently doing one, so all you have to do is go on his channel, click on this link here for the video. Just have to watch the whole thing, he explains the giveaway, and the rules to participate are listed in the description. Alright, so let's have a look at the tool. So all you have to do is open the description box below this video and click on the link. So I'm going to do that right now. There we are, it opens this page. So all you have to do, depending on your platform, it might vary a little bit, but you click the download button and you have the option to either open the file or save it if you're using the same software I am, but it might be different with yours. I always do a save as, so I can put it exactly where I want on my hard drive, but in this case I'm just going to open it. Okay, so once you've done that, because I'm online, I believe it's giving me all of these warnings. If you have the file installed on your computer, I don't think you're going to get them, because when I open it myself, I normally don't. So just enable everything. It might give me an error. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to show you the various screens. At the bottom here, they're all listed. So there are several. So we're going to start with the stack, which is the summary screen. So the way the software works is very simple. This part here, the current market prices, is where you enter the prices for the day. So I'm going to open that on the browser right now so I can edit the information. Just going to move this to my secondary screen so we can work with it. I normally use Kitco in order to get the spot prices. So just to show you. All right. I use the Canadian prices because I'm in Canada, but obviously if you're in the US, you would use the US prices. The examples I left in the software are in Canadian prices, so I'm just going to use Canadian prices, but obviously you use the currency that you normally do. Okay, so prices jumped up quite a lot in the last few days. So now we're at $30.40 in Canada for silver. Gold is now $25.01 and 60 cents. The platinum price is at $12.18.56. And the palladium price is at $27.73 and 60 cents. Rhodium, I'm going to delete it because I don't have any. Same for you, if you don't have any palladium and you don't have any platinum, there's no reason why you would enter the prices, so you just enter what you have in your stack. Same thing for Bitcoin, like I just got rid of all of my Bitcoin, but let me just open it so we can have the information. So currently Bitcoin is trading at 12,852 in Canada. And then let's have a look for Ethereum. There we go. So this, when you enter the prices, it automatically recalculates everything in your stack. So it's going to update all of the information regarding the prices and your return on investment and everything. So it's a good idea to do that every time you use it so that the numbers that you're seeing are current. So the second part here is the total portfolio value. Right now it's just examples that I left in there. doesn't reflect my stack at all. But this allows you to do two things. First, you can set a goal in terms of percentages. You don't have to. I mean, if you don't care, you can leave that blank. It won't make any difference. It doesn't calculate it in anything. But what it does do is it will calculate automatically how much of the value of your stack is in each of the assets. So it gives you a good idea with the pie chart of what your stack looks like in terms of value. So in my case, most of my, well, obviously this is an example. So in this example, most of the cash value of the metals is in silver, followed by platinum, and then I would say Bitcoin would be a little bit would be in third place, followed by gold, palladium, and Ethereum. So when you adjust the value, like if you add stuff or if you remove stuff from your stack, this will automatically update and you'll have a big picture of everything at any time. And also the other nice thing is that you know the exact value at spot price for all of your stack. Okay, so let's have a look at the first tab, which is the silver tab. So all of the tabs, all you have to do to access them is just click on them. So let's click on silver. There we go. So this is the silver page. So if you go at the bottom, of the page, you have access to all of the compilation of the information. So the total price paid, the number of ounces in the stack, and then it does the math automatically according to the information you entered in the first page earlier for the spot price. So it will give you your average price paid per ounce. It will give you your current silver spot price, which is the exact number you entered. Afterwards, you'll see the total paid for your stack, which is the same number as this year, it's just transcribed here. And it calculates what your stack is worth at the current spot price. So in this case, we have a profit of $385.26 and a return on investment of 13.52%. So if you go back up, I'm just going to show you the different columns. So the first column is the date, so that's pretty easy. The source where you purchased the items, and then general description of the item itself. Then you have the metal type. So since they're listed by tab, you could leave this blank if you want. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I put it in for the reason that if I decide for some reason to copy the information somewhere else, then I have the information on what it is. Then you have the ounces. This represents the total ounces for this line. So if, for example, you purchase one 10-ounce bar, like on this line here, you would put 10 because you have 10 ounces in there, not one representing the number of items. It's really the number of ounces. This is used to calculate the amount of metal in your stack, so it's really important you do it correctly. The second thing is the price that you paid per ounce. This is just in case you need to sell and you want to have an idea how much you paid for it. So it's not calculated in the bottom where it calculates the stack and everything. So it's just a line per line item in here. And the total is the total that you paid for that line. So if you have, like, let's say you put 10 1-ounce bar in one line, then you have to, or in this example, you have 8 bars of 1 ounce. So that's the total that was paid for the 8 bars, not the price for each single one. Now, for the price per ounce, you can enter it manually or you can do a calculation. It's up to you. In this case, for example, I will show you how I would do it. So when I started, I did it a little bit differently. So I'm just gonna type in the number here so there's no calculation in any of the tabs. 8, okay. So if you want to do a calculation, it's very easy. So all you have to do is go to the price per ounce. You enter the equal sign. Then you select your total and you do a slash, which is the divide sign for Excel, and you select the number of ounces and it will automatically recalculate it for you. So that, for me, is the easiest way to do that. You don't have to take a calculator and do it manually for each of them. Then the items in this section here. So this is just general information about the items. So you could leave it blank if you don't care. But if you do want to keep some record and have some information about each of the coins, especially useful if you do collecting, then you have the ability to enter all of the information. So the first column is the purity, second item is the dimensions. So in case of a coin, you would enter the diameter of the coin, and in case of a bar, I enter all of the information regarding the length and the width. Then you have the thickness. And these information here, you can generally find them pretty easily by simply going into Google. I'll show you what I would do, for example. Okay, so I'm just going to open this. So let's say that you want to know information about the Silver Eagle. So all you have to do is type in the type of coin. So I'm going to do it completely. So American Silver Eagle. And then what you do is type specs. So this will give you the specifications for it. So in the first box, as you can see, it's 3/9 fine. It's 1 troy ounces. It gives you the weight. And usually you can find more information if you go in the links below. So in this case, for example, on Wikipedia, there's an entry. So there should be a lot of information. And here you have the mass. You have the diameter of the coin, you have the thickness, purity, type of metal, all of the information is there. The mintage is usually listed as well. Let's see. Okay, it probably depends on the year. So if you go to the various pages, you can click on several ones. Usually you can find all of the information if you look long enough. So then you have the total weight of the coin, the metal content in silver. If you want to keep track of the years for each of the coins, you can do it here. The country of origin. The mint is the number of coins minted. So for most of the bullions, like if you're stacking for weight, it makes no difference at all. But if you're doing collecting and those are low mintages, it's good to have the information on how many were minted. So this could have an effect on the price. And the last line is something you can enter if you want. It's not calculated automatically, so you would have to do it. But basically, it's the premium that you paid. I strongly suggest you keep note of that because it will remind you to calculate it every time. And with that practice will come a point where this will be the most important factor for you when you purchase. You're going to calculate the premiums and decide if it's worth it or not. So as you can see, when I started stacking, I had no experience. So I was purchasing at dealers that were selling for a high price. So I was paying 15, 11%, things like that on silver. Since then, I've been able to purchase most of my silver either at spot price or very, very close to spot. I would say now over 10%, I try to avoid it. So that's for silver. For gold, usually I purchase at spot up to about 4% over spot. You know, it's a good practice to calculate that because it will really train your mind to look for that and decide based upon the premium, not getting your emotion gets in the way and say, oh, well, this is a nice coin, I want it. And of course, this is for stacking. If you're purchasing for a collection, it might be a lot different. But if you're stacking for the weight of the metal, the premium is the most important thing you can take into account. So those you would simply enter it by calculating it. I'm going to show you how to calculate it. There's one of the tabs specifically designed for that. So I'm going to give you the tool to do so as well. The last thing I want to add is, let's say that you've entered coins for a few months and you come here and there's no place left. So in order to add rows, it's very easy. All you have to do is don't wait until the page is completely filled up. When you have blank spaces like that, that's the easiest way. So you simply select a certain amount of them. You right click here and you just click insert. And you see just added the same amount of rows that I had selected. So this is a very easy way. So basically the sheet is going to be pretty much unlimited. I think there is a limit on the amount of rows you can have, but it's really huge. So you should not come into an issue with that. All right, so let's go to gold now. Okay, so basically the page is exactly the same. So all of the information are the same. So you simply enter the information, and I forgot to. Okay, let's see, for page layout, I don't like to have the grid showing. It's really up to you. I prefer to disable it, but if you like to have the grid, in Excel you can either add it or remove it. You just go to the layout, the page layout option, and you can click it on or off if you prefer. So the same thing here with gold. Basically, you enter the information. One thing I forgot to mention for silver is I always calculate my fees in terms of either shipping, gas, parking, all of the fees that I incur purchasing items. I'm going to put them in there so that my total reflects the total amount invested, not just the price of the metal itself. So for me, usually gas is not too expensive. I have several local coin shops where I can go that are not too far away. So it usually varies between $2 to maybe $10 in terms of gas, depending where I go. So some of them are very far, but a lot of them are close by. It's going to be more important if you do delivery and they charge delivery charges. I don't know for the US, I think your mail system is much less expensive, but here in Canada, it's not unusual to pay between $20 to $50 for delivery. So if you're paying $50, of course, it's going to make a big impact on the amount that you're paying for the metal. So it would be important to put it in here. And when you do put a fee, just make sure you don't enter any ounces because it's not metal. And you don't need to put in information regarding the price per ounce. It doesn't matter at all. So here, see, I did it, but really it doesn't need to be there. So by entering the $2 here, when it does the math for the total paid, it's going to be reflected. For the rest, it's the same thing, purity, diameter, thickness, things like that. This is also very useful if you want to find capsules. So for example, if you purchase a few items and you don't have the capsule for them, by researching them and putting the information in here, you'll know exactly which capsule that you need for them. And as you can see from my first purchases with gold, I had a lot more experience. This was at the end of February, so I was now really looking for deals. So all of this gold here, well, this was a gift, but all of these first purchases I did were at 0%, so they were done at spot price. And people often ask me how I do it. Basically, you just go to the dealer and you say that you're looking to purchase gold as close to spot as possible. What I normally do is I tell them, like, if you have things you want to get rid of, I don't care what it is. Like, if you can make me a good deal at spot price, I'm going to purchase whatever you have. And I usually bring a lot of money. And what I do is I say, well, for example, I have $1,500 to spend. So whatever you're willing to sell close to spot, that's what I'm willing to purchase. So that's how I find the deals. The dealership love that because what happens is if they're stuck with some stuff that they haven't been able to move, at some point they're going to decide to melt it. And when they melt it, they get less than spot price for it. They get spot price minus the melting fee. So they're losing money on it. So for them, if they can sell it to you, even though they're not making a huge profit. For example, if the metal went up, it's not a problem for them because they're already in profit. If the metal went down, it might be different, but that's the way I do it. So for those of you who keep asking, that's my method, and I'm telling you, I'm purchasing close to spot really, really often. Like if I go out, I would say 3 times out of 4, I'm going to purchase either at spot price or close to spot. And if I can't find anywhere where they have deals like that, I'm going to purchase at more normal prices. But I never pay huge premiums like you would do, for example, on online dealers where they might be charging you 30 or 40%. For me, that makes no sense, so I never do it. All right, so we're going to go over quickly to the other 3 tabs. So they're exactly the same thing. So platinum, you can enter the same information. It does the same thing for the totals. So there's nothing really more I can show you. I can do palladium, same thing. So you can go down, it will calculate. What it's nice is that it calculates everything for you. So for example, since I purchased palladium, you see I'm not in money yet. So the premium was pretty high because palladium and platinum have high premiums. So right now I'm at a loss of 35 out of the 481 I spent. This of course includes the gas, so it increases it a little bit, but so right now I'm down 8%, but prices of metals have been moving up, so I'm expecting to be in profit pretty quickly on that. For rhodium, of course, I don't have any. I would really love to have any, to have some, but it's so expensive and it's almost impossible to find. So the only place you can find rhodium here in Canada is Kitco. I haven't seen it anywhere else. And of course, Kitco is going to charge you a high premium for it. And the spread on rhodium is huge. So for example, if you purchase it at $12,000 for an ounce and you decide to sell it, it's not unusual for you to sell it for say 8,000 to 9,000 instead of the 12,000 it's worth when you purchase. So the spread is usually around 30%, which is crazy. So rhodium, I do plan to purchase some in the future, but I'm gonna wait until the prices crash completely, because rhodium is very, very cyclical, and it's the prices move really high and really low. So if you can purchase when it's at the bottom prices, you can expect to make a profit when it climbs back up. But otherwise, like, I wouldn't purchase it when it's at $10,000 or $12,000. I would never see any money on that. And so the last tab I want to show you is the crypto. So basically for crypto, it's the same thing as for the metals, except I just split them into two columns here. You can add columns if you want. So the ones I had were Bitcoins and Ethereum. I just liquidated all of my Bitcoin. I have some expenses coming up, and that's the one place that I don't mind selling. So it does the same thing as for the metals. It will calculate your return on investment, it will calculate your profit and everything. So and it's in the stack it's showing if you have any. Okay, so let me show you one of the tools I love in this spreadsheet. So that's the calculator sheet. All right, so what this is for basically is to calculate prices and to shop. So I have two sections. You could redo this the way you want and enter the dealers that you want. So all of this is not like you can change it. For example, here, if your local coin shop is called Guy's Place, for example, well, you just put Guy's Place and resave the database, and basically you'll have it forever. Okay, so the way I do is, let's say that I'm shopping online. So what I would do is I would verify, I would decide what I want to purchase, put it in the list here. So let's say American Silver Eagles, let's say 1 ounce bar, and let's say Royal Canadian Mint, 10 ounce, okay? So then what you do is you go on each of the sites, or what you could do is when you go, for example, on AppMax, you can go in the deals section, and if they have something on special, you can put it in here, and then you can compare that to the other places and decide based on that how to purchase. So anyway, you shop the way you want. I'm just giving you ideas right now. So let's say that the American Silver Eagles on AppMax are selling for $28. And that their acai bars are selling for $27, and that the Royal Canadian Mint 10 ounce bar is selling for, let's say that's selling for $265. Okay, so these are random numbers I'm throwing out, but you'll see how you can use them. So then you do the same thing, you go on SD Bullion and you compare prices. So let's say that SD Bullion, their American Silver Eagle, is selling for $27.50. And that the acai bar, they don't have one. So you go and put in the bar that they have. Let's say that they have, what could they have in terms of bar? Let's say a Johnson Matthey. Okay, so, and they're selling their Johnson Matthey bar for $26.50. And they don't have the Royal Canadian Mint 10 ounce, so you look what's available, and let's see. And let's say that AppMax have random bars, so random 10 ounce bars, okay, and they're selling them for $266, for example. Okay, so, and you do the same thing for each of the dealers. So I'm not gonna enter like 20 prices, but I want to show you what I would do once I have them. So now what you do is you go and verify the spot price. So I'm gonna do that for you right now. Since the price I entered in the stack is in Canadian, I'm just gonna go and have a look. Okay, so let's have a look at the spot price from Kitco, and we're gonna put it in US dollars. So right now the price is at 22.43. Okay, and then you simply do the math for each of the items. So the first one is the $28, and that is for 1 ounce. And it will calculate your premium, so basically the price you're paying over spot, and the cost of acquisition, which is the percentage of the item. So I would put in 24.83 here, so that you know how much premium you're paying. Then you do the same thing with the second item, so $27. Still 1 ounce, same spot price. So now we're at 20%, 0.37. And let's do the bar. So the bar is at 265, and that's for 10 ounces. So for that bar, you're paying $40.70 premium, and it's only 18.15. Well, only it's high, but I mean, it's lower than the other items. And then you go to the second line and do the same thing. So $27.50 for 1 ounce, and we're at $22.60. $26.50, 1 ounce, so that's $18.15. And finally, $2.66 for 10 ounces, and we're at $18.59. So now you have all of the data. So you have to decide what you want to purchase based on that. Of course, you would have to take into account delivery and everything. So you would, make up your mind on what you want to purchase. In this case, the lowest price that you're paying would be either on this bar here at 18.15% or on the 1 ounce Johnson Matthey. If it were me, I would purchase the 1 ounce Johnson Matthey because they're more liquid, and you're paying the same premium if you decide to do it that way. So basically that's what this tool is for, and it can be used for any type of metal. You can do pretty much everything you want. So all you have to do is enter the information here. So if you decide to switch to gold, you would enter the spot price for gold, and then do the same thing with the amount of the price that you're paying and the ounces. And also, if you want to do the same thing with local coin shops, let's say you have 5 coin shops that you normally shop at. You can call each of them in the morning, ask them what they have. Usually what I do is I give them a call and say, well, I'm looking for precious metals. What do you have in stock and how much is it? I write it down so I can compare on the phone. And then I go to the place which has the items that I'm interested in. And then once I'm there, I start to deal. So I don't deal on the phone. I don't think it's effective. But if you know which places have the lowest price to start with, you're much more likely to get a better deal. And also over time, you'll kind of know what type of deal the guys are willing to do. Some of the dealers are not willing to deal at all. They have a fixed price and that's the price. And other places, they're more flexible on the price. So you have to take that into account, but this allows you to do the same thing. You can calculate the premium and everything before you even go. Okay, so let's have a look at the next tab, which is the specific gravity test. All right, so the specific gravity test is a way to test your metal if you don't have access to a metal tester. So there are a few tests you can perform. You can use the magnet test in order to see if the metal is magnetic. You have the scale, which allows you to know the weight of the item, and you can measure it using a caliper. So all of those 3 tests combined usually will be very precise in knowing if it's a fake or not. But the most precise test you can do is the specific gravity test. So the video at the bottom here, you have the link. So if you click on it, let me show you. So if you click on it, it will open the video for you. That's where I show you how to perform it. So let me just close this and close that. Okay, and once you know how to do it, you'll need to know the values. So I wrote all of the values for all of the metals in here. So if you're testing, for example, 999 silver, then what you're looking for is a specific gravity of 10.49. It can vary a little bit because it's very hard to be completely precise with that test, with the means that we have. But if you're, say, within 10% of that, you're okay. If there's a big difference, let's say that you get a specific gravity of 8 point something on silver, you can be assured it's going to be a fake, and it's most likely going to be copper or something like that. So you see copper would be at 879. So this is one of the tests you can perform. It's not difficult, it's just a little bit cumbersome, but basically if you watch the video, it shows everything how to do it. All right, so now let's have a look at the last tab. It's hidden, so you'll have to use the arrows here to access it. So it's the conversion charts. So what I did in this page is I just gave you the information that are most useful in terms of conversions. So let's say that you purchase a 1/20th of an ounce gold coin and you want to know how much that represents in troy ounces. Well, you have it here, it's 0.05 troy ounces. And you can have it in grams as well, which is 1.555 grams. And I've put in all of the common sizes so that you have access to them. And I did the same thing for what is most useful for bars. So for example, Pam Suisse and Valcambi, usually they sell their bars in grams. So let's say you purchase an 8 gram bar and you want to know how much that represents in terms of troy ounces, you can have it here. So it's, in this case, for the 8 gram, it would be 0.2572. So a little bit over a quarter of an ounce of whatever metal you're purchasing. The other part here is for Canadian circulation coins. So I give you the two values. So for example, for Canadian, it's very easy because the circulation coins are all of the same percentage. It's 80% for all of them. So basically for a $1 coin, you have 0.6 troy ounces, and then it's half for 50 cents and another half if you go to a quarter. And then if you divide your dollar by 10, you would have for the dime. And the amount here is the number you would need in order to make 1 troy ounce. So for example, if you want to purchase troy ounces in $1 coins, you would need 1.67 of them for 1 troy ounce. So that can be of some use depending on how you calculate your things. And also the chart calculates the spot price for circulation coins based on the amount you entered in the stack when you restarted. So for example, right now, if you want to purchase 1 face value of Canadian silver, that's $18.02 for $1 at spot price. I did the same thing for the US currency. The one thing you need to know about US coins is that if we calculate, for example, the 90% ones, because of course if you go with the 40%, it would be completely different. I don't have them listed in here. But for the 90% ones, the dollars, the Morgans, and the Walking Liberties and things like that, they have more metal per coin than the rest of them. So for them, it's 0.7734 troy ounces per dollar. But if you go to the lower value of coins, so for the quarter ounce, the half ounces, and the dimes, then the content is 72.30. So it's a little bit less per dollar. So again, does the same calculation. So it gives you the content in terms of troy ounces, and it gives you how many of them you need to make 1 troy ounce. And the same thing gives you what $1 would represent at spot price. So in this case, if you have dollars, it would be a little bit more expensive because there's more silver in the $1 coin than there would be, for example, in 2 half dollars. So it calculates that correctly. And then I put in some of the most common world coins for gold coins in this case. So for the sovereign, which is 0.2354 troy ounce for 1, so it's a little bit less than a quarter ounce. The 20 francs are very popular. Many countries have them, like they have them in Switzerland, they have them in France, they have them in Belgium, for example. So those are a little bit less than a fifth of an ounce, so it's 0.1865. And if you go into Russian gold coins, those from the 1800s, for example, those are just a tad under a quarter ounce at 0.2489 troy ounce. So you could enter all of them, like if you have Krugerrands and other gold coins from other countries and you want to enter them, just type them in and do a search on Google to see how much they contain in terms of metal, and you can write it down here so that you have access to it when you need it. Alright, so as promised, I'm going to show you two ways to use this spreadsheet if you don't have access to Microsoft Excel. Both ways are free. So the first one is there is a suite available that does the same thing as the Microsoft suite, and that is free. It's called OpenOffice. So all you have to do is go into Google, and I'll also put the link in the description box so you don't have to search for it. But let's say you want to search for it. So all you have to do is go into Google and search for OpenOffice. It's available for multiple platforms. So if you're on a Mac, for example, or a PC, whatever, you can download it. So all you have to do is click on Download OpenOffice. You select your operating system. So if you're Mac OS, if you're on Linux, if you're on Windows, for example. It says more. I'm not going to click, but it looks like support pretty much everything. So let's say you're on Windows. You just click here. You decide which language you want the software to be in. The version, I would keep the most recent. There's no reason to go to an older release. And then you do the full download. And this basically replaces Office. It has all of the same software, they're just named differently. Let me show you what it is. So let's open it. So I've already have it installed, so that's in O for Office. OpenOffice, there we go. And the software that we want is OpenOffice Calc, which is the equivalent to Excel. And all you have to do is either use the Open File tab, or you can drag the file directly into OpenOffice. My software is in French, but yours will be in English if you selected English. So ask you to update the links and everything, so you would say yes in order for the sheet to work correctly. And you have the same thing, basically, that we had in Excel, and this is done in the free software. So everything is there. So that's the first way. I'm going to close that. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to do it with the Google tool. So all you have to do is go into your Google library and find the file. So it's called Sheets, which is the equivalent to Excel. So I had already uploaded it, but I'm gonna delete it and show you how to do it. So what you do is you go into here, you just open a blank one, and then you go into Files. My version is in French, but you go into Files here, and to Open. And the last one should be upload or download, whatever. So basically it allows you to send the file to the server. So you just drag the file that you have on your hard drive in here. There you go. And it will automatically upload to the server. And open it. And now you have access to all of the information the same way. And since I had not changed that, see, this is moved. Here we go. So everything is there. And that's free as well, so you can use that one. Now, I've never used this software. I believe you'll be able to save directly on their server. Okay, so it said that all of the information were recorded on the drive, so it records it on your Google Drive, basically. So if you want to download it later on, you can, but basically it's an online tool. So that's the other option. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment for more content like this. If you have not watched the specific gravity test video yet, you can use this link to watch it. So keep stacking, and I'll see you on the next one.